We welcome you to the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where we are just moments away from the beginning of Carb Day, which includes the final 1 hour of practice by the field of 33 as they prepare for the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
John Cock, Mears makes the try. John Cock wins it.
If there was one race you should win in your life as an American race car driver, it would have to be
the Indy 500.
There he is. A.J. Foyt will win the Indianapolis 500.
33 drivers, one winner.
Oh, yeah. If you ever see racing better than that, I'd certainly like to know where it's going to be.
My life has never been the same since I won the Indianapolis 500.
Big touch. Little Al into the wall. Fittipaldi continues on. Goodyear makes a move. Little Al wins.
You just don't know what Indy means.
The biggest thrill is to be called the Indy 500 champion.
Winning Indy once, that was fantastic.
He's done it. Catherine Nevis goes for the fence again.
Winning Indy back-to-back, that was unbelievable.
In addition to final practice for the IndyCar, today we'll see the return of competition of two of Open Wheel's most famous names, as both an Unser and Andretti return to the Brickyard. In the Menards Infiniti Pro Series race, the Futaba Freedom 100. And finally, we'll end the day with the Checkers Rally's pit stop competition. All this and more next. Without a doubt, is the most hallowed ground in all of motorsports, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as the clock is now ticking toward the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. The last time we saw the drivers, they were trying to qualify to get in the big race. But on Monday, all 33 headed to the Big Apple. 11 rows, 33 drivers head to Times Square in New York City. It's the biggest and greatest spectacle in racing at the biggest scene and biggest city in the world. The legends of Open Wheel stand with former Secretary of State General Colin Powell, who will drive the safety car. As the world watched, they smiled among the big buildings. And one of the busiest all week long has been our pole sitter, Tony Kanaan, who's standing by with Vince Welch.
The Honda-powered Dallara of Tony Kanaan, sponsored by 7-Eleven, just getting a little warm-up before going out for this last practice session. Let's jump forward to race day first. How important is it to you to lead the first lap of the Indianapolis 500?
I don't think it's a big deal. Obviously, I'm setting the pace, so I'm expecting to be in the front, at least in the first corner, but it's such a long race, so to me, I think we have a good car, so I'm not too worried about leading the first lap, but more worried about leading the last one.
Let's talk about this final practice session here today. What do you hope to get accomplished?
Just to see if everything runs okay, everything's working, and I'm not looking for lap times, not looking for anything, just to make sure the car runs. We put it back to bed. We've done the work we have to do. If we haven't figured it out yet, it's not going to be today.
How anxious are you for Sunday?
I'm okay. I mean, I lived under pressure all my life, so this is it's just another day in paradise for me.
Tony Kanaan, he will lead the field of the 89th Indianapolis 500. Let's go to Jamie Little.
27 interviews in one day. That is the life these days of Indy 500 rookie Danica Patrick, who took part in that media tour in New York City on Monday. She appeared on various shows, including The Late Show with her boss, David Letterman. And this is the latest, the weekend issue of USA Today. She is on the cover. It's the third time in 1 week that she or her car has graced the cover. Huge kudos to the girl, the rookie running in the Indy 500, but her focus now turns to the race as she prepares for one final practice here at the Brickyard. Dr. Punch?
Thank you very much, Vince and Jamie, along with 8-time Indy 500 starter Robbie Buhl. I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us here for Carb Day. And Robbie, 1 hour, and 1 hour only is all the practice these guys and girls are going to get today here to get ready. What are they trying to accomplish in Carb Day?
Well, I think one thing to keep in mind is it is only 1 hour. In years past, it's been 2 hours. What you want to do here is you're not going to see many people running more than probably 20 laps the max, probably 2 or 3 outings, but they're going to do a leak check. What a leak check is they put a fresh motor in. They just want to make sure there's no fluids from oil or water cooling system, and then also just make sure everything's okay with the gearbox. And also one thing, is this is the first time they've been in the pit stalls that they're in right now. Those are determined by the qualifying order. So visually, they want to do a couple in and outs and see where they are along pit row, because this race is at least filled with maybe 8 pit stops. All very important stuff.
So where are your leaks? Where are your pits? Most importantly for pit stops, and make sure you can work traffic, but do not hit anything today. You got to keep that car for the big race on Sunday. We'll have a full evening of events coming your way on Saturday. The Indianapolis 500 Festival Parade, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, and then ready to race the 89th Indianapolis 500 preview at 7:30 Eastern. Yes, we will talk to Danica Patrick and the entire front row at 7:30 Eastern Time, prior to them going to bed and thinking about what could happen the next day. And speaking of the next day, we invite you to join host Brett Musburger, Todd Harris, Scott Goodyear, Jack Arute, and many of us live flag-to-flag coverage of the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500 on ABC Sports starting this year at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. ESPN's presentation of Indianapolis 500 Carburetion Day and Pit Stop Challenge is being brought to you by Checkers and Rallies, the official burger of the Indianapolis 500. Have you ever asked yourself, what's the most popular car number to visit Victory Lane here in Indianapolis? Well, the number 3 did it 10 times. Roger Ward in 63, Bobby Unser in 68. How about Lone Star, JR, Johnny Rutherford? There's Bobby Unser in 68. The car number 3 going to Victory Lane a total of 10 times here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Rahal did it in 86. Al Unser Jr. in 1992. The last one to do it, Elio Castroneves in 2002 when he drove the number 3. And we asked Elio, the famous Brazilian, what do you think about this year? Could this be the year that the number 3 goes to Victory Lane for the 11th time? It's been a special month of May for the fence climber himself. Here's what he had to say.
I'm in the car 3, going for a 3rd Indy victory, hopefully, and I'm turning 30 years old. So if the numbers are right, this is the year.
It could be all in the numbers. We welcome you back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, getting set for Carb Day. I'm Jerry Punch, along with our expert analysts, Robbie Buhl, Jamie Little, Vince Welch, and Cameron Steele, hovering up and down pit road. And Robbie, you've been a part of this Carb Day 8 different times as a starter here in the Indy 500. What's going through these drivers' minds right now?
Well, you know, Tony Kanaan summed it up best. He said, you know, if you're going to go out there and really think you're going to learn a bunch right now, probably is not the right time. You needed to do that ahead of time. But right now for these guys, you just do a shakedown, make sure there's nothing crazy or anything gross going on with that race car. Put it away, rub on it, and come back race day.
Well, speaking of race day, you got to have a ticket to get in here on race day. And how popular is this ticket? Well, this year it has last year's winner on it from Rahal Letterman Racing, Buddy Rice, the Phoenix, Arizona driver who became a first-time winner sailing from the pole. And there's his co-owners, Indianapolis native David Letterman and Bobby Rahal. But this year, Buddy Rice will not defend his Indy 500 title. Back on May the 11th, hard impact in turn 2. And Buddy Rice's car comes to a halt. 120 Gs, the measuring inside the cockpit for Buddy Rice. He steps out of the car and is diagnosed with torn ligaments in his lower neck. He will miss this year's Indianapolis 500. His owner, Bobby Rahal, had to make other plans. Vince Welch?
Well, Bobby Rahal standing here as he watches his 3 drivers on Carburetion Day. But first, Buddy Rice, he had a doctor's appointment today. Have you heard any results from that?
No, I haven't heard anything yet. We'll find out later today. This isn't for him to get clearance yet. They're just taking a look at everything, make sure the swelling's going down and everything's healing up.
You've been through Carburetion Day many times as a driver, now as a car owner. What's the directives that you give your drivers before they come out here?
Don't do anything silly. But no, I mean, today, we just want to make sure that, we do the leak check, make sure there's nothing, these all have fresh engines. They want to make sure everything is tight, and we'll run a little bit, but we won't run too much because we just don't want to put a lot of miles on the engine.
Danica Patrick has been a huge story here, and do you feel as though she's handling it well as time is drawing near?
I think she's done a phenomenal job. The amount of press interest has been just unbelievable, and to kind of keep that all in perspective and drive the race car at the same time is a difficult task, and she's done a super job.
She starts 4th on Sunday. Do you know who the last driver to start 4th and win the 500 is?
Well, I don't know if I was the last, but I did.
Yes, you are. You were the last to do it. Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Bobby Rahal.
Indeed, how appropriate. Bobby Rahal back in 1986, the last driver to start on the inside of row 2, right where his young rookie, sensational rookie, Danica Patrick starts. And Robbie Buhl, it's difficult enough, I guess, to be a rookie here, much less be under the microscope the way Danica has been all month long. How do you think she's handled it?
Well, I think she's handled it excellently, but like you say, I mean, your time is so precious here during the month of May, and there's always something going on the whole time you're on the track, but then every evening you have some function that you're participating in here in Indianapolis, and then all the extra media attention that Danica's getting is just overwhelming. So I'm sure she's happiest right now when she's out in that race car and doing what she loves.
Another great story inside the Rahal Letterman camp is this young driver here. Actually 39 years of age, the 1999 Indianapolis 500 winner, Kenny Brack. What a sensational comeback. He steps in the seat vacated by the injured Buddy Rice, who stepped in his seat when he was injured in a horrific crash back at Texas in October of 2003. And what did Brack do? Well, not only did he put it up to speed quickly in the first 5 or 6 laps, he became the fastest qualifier in the field in the middle of row 8. Speaking of Kenny Brack's incredible comeback, let's turn back the clock. October 2003, Brack somehow survives this horrific crash into the catch fence at Texas Motor Speedway in October of 2003. The car sheared away, and he is a passenger inside that tub. He comes back 19 months later, and what an incredible story. Even Walt Disney couldn't have scripted a better movie for a comeback. Kenny Brack back in the car. Fastest 4-lap average for the entire month of May, and Brack is the quickest car in the field, although he starts in the middle of row 8. Gets a congratulatory handshake from Buddy Rice there as he climbs out of the car. How many drivers have been fastest in the field and yet not started on the pole? We'll take a look at some of those dating back to 1960. You see where they finished? And by the way, there have been 19 drivers who have been fastest but not started on the pole since the beginning of this race. No one, I repeat, no one has ever come and won the race from not starting on row 1, fastest back in the pack. When we come back, more of Carburetion Day activity. We'll talk to some of the drivers to see what's happening in just a moment. Welcome you back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is Carb Day here as we prepare for the Indianapolis 500 coming up on Sunday, the 89th edition. Well, more drivers have won the Indy 500 at age 32 than any other age. In fact, in all, 8 different drivers have done it. Starting with Ray Haroon back in 1911. He was 32 years of age. How about the legendary Ralph De Palma in 1915? A.J. Foyt did it in 1967. And the names keep on coming. And Al Unser Sr., Amirs, and Unser Jr. Well, Dario Franchitti is the only 32-year-old in this year's field. We ask him, how do you feel about this magic number?
Yes. I hope your stats are correct. No, it's, you know, it's one of those things, you'll take whatever you can get here. You know, and luck is definitely involved in it. And you've got to have good luck. You can have the best car. You know, as we've just proven in the last 3 races, you can have the best car and things out with your control, or sometimes things within your control can mess it up.
And we have an incident on the racetrack. This is exactly what you do not need to have happen. And this is Buddy Lazier, the 1996 winner here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Lazier, who won this race driving for Ron Himmelgarn, the 2000 IndyCar Series champion. And Robbie Buhl, this is disastrous here in this final warm-up when you have so little time to get the car prepared.
Yeah, and this has happened off of turn 4 because where he's come to a stop is just past the start-finish line. And if you look at his car, it's just the right side. So it's not as though the rear of the car broke loose. It just probably got high. There you go. There he is on the top of the screen, and the car just pushed up high. So whether he was up in the gray or the tires just weren't up to temperature, we'll have to find out more, and I'm sure we will.
Lazier, the fastest Chevrolet to qualify. He's scheduled to start in 9th position inside of row 3 in the Panther, Jonathan Byrd's machine for the 12-time starter. Here again, Lazier early on in Carburetion Day, comes out of turn 4, the car across the racetrack, slams the outside concrete retaining wall. Actually, it's a safer barrier component, and just presses the right side down. They're working with him to get him out of the car.
Yeah, you know, those guys will work hard to get that car back together. But keep in mind, Carb Day is now on Friday. It's not on Thursday, so these guys only have one day to get that car back together. But looking from what we can see on our monitor, it looks as though it's just gotten the suspension on the right side. There's nothing in the tub. So, you know, that's a relatively easy fix to that race car. And Buddy Lazier, he drove for us last year, and I said to somebody the other day, that's a guy that you don't want to count out of this race. He is focused and driven.
Here's another look at what happened a moment ago. Top of your screen there, Lazier comes out, and when everyone describes Buddy Lazier, if you ask other drivers to give you a description of Buddy Lazier, you see that hard impact there, they have one word, that's fearless.
Yeah.
He is phenomenal in the race car here, and it's hard to believe that the 2000 series champion does not have a full-time ride as of yet.
Yeah, and he's not a guy as a race competitor that you want to see coming in your mirror. That's a good way to sum up Buddy.
Well, Buddy Lazier driving for Panther Racing, the winningest team in IndyCar Series competition. And Indianapolis means a lot of things to a lot of people, but to Indy native John Barnes, who co-owns Panther Racing, Indianapolis means everything. Vince Welch has more.
It's where I live. It's our house. You know, we think everybody on our team thinks it's the greatest race in the world, and it's just a great opportunity to be here.
John Barnes' parents were race fans, and they began bringing him to the Speedway in the mid-1950s. John's been hooked on racing ever since.
I was a huge Jim Hurtubise fan. You know, he had tremendous determination and guts, and he gave it 10/10 all the time. And also Parnelli, you know, Lloyd Ruby, Jim Clark. I know my football coach told me a long time ago if they were busting my head open that race cars would fall out of it, you know, and it just, you know, it's always been a part of my life.
In 1968, JB proudly came to the Speedway as a crew member for the first time, working the glamorous job of grunt for the Tassie Battis racing team and drivers Sammy Sessions and Wally Dallenbach Sr. He loved every minute of it.
It's chasing your dream. You know, every day you had to pinch yourself and say, gosh, I'm over here working on this car. Can I polish this? Can I clean this? You know, can I do whatever? And you know, to meet all the legends and stuff, the people who have been here, you know, and I don't know how you can explain it.
Barnes has worked with a total of 48 different drivers through the years, a diverse group including Sam Posey, Johnny Parsons, Mario Andretti, Salt Walter, Spike Gelhausen, Jimmy Carruthers, Tim Richmond, and Sam Hornish Jr. In 1979, as chief mechanic with the Conquest Racing team, he and driver Lee Koonsman helped ABC Sports develop the first ever in-car camera on an Indy car.
They came to us and asked us to mount a camera, I think it was huge, to the side of the cockpit, and it took us about 2 days to get that, you know, put on there. And of course, it changed how the car drove drastically because it changed the center of gravity so much of the car. But it was fun. It was really fun to see that and see what it's evolved to now.
In 1997, after working for 19 different teams, JB formed Panther Racing, which today is the most successful team in Indy Racing League IndyCar Series history. Winning his first Indianapolis 500 would be great, but it's not the only reason JB keeps coming back to the Brickyard.
We enjoyed both the championships. We enjoyed the 14 races. We won every one of them. And enjoyed, you know, the opportunity to come here and compete. You know, is quite a victory for somebody from the southwest side of Indianapolis who's always wanted to do it. And to come here and have somebody that has a chance of winning it, again, is something you try to pinch yourself to make sure you're not dreaming. But, you know, we think we have a shot at this year here, and we'll continue doing it until we do.
And I'm joined now by Gary Pedigo, one of the co-owners for Buddy Lazier. Tough break. It's the exact thing you don't want to see. A day and a half pretty much till race time, 2 days at this point. What do you guys do?
That's absolutely the truth. I mean, the worst case, I guess, could have been that it could have happened at the start of the race. We don't really know what happened. Buddy got on the radio and said something broke. So we're going to get it back to the shop and take a look at it, get it repaired, and get back in the race. We're going to be okay. One thing we got is cars.
Hey, what do they say? Bad rehearsal, good show, right?
Absolutely, I go for that. Yeah.
So you guys will go back, you'll repair it, and start where you qualify.
Absolutely, we'll be in a race.
You guys are always optimistic. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hate to see the veteran Buddy Lazier go out like that in the final practice, but guys, they will be back. We've seen it before.
And that's Gary Pedigo, by the way. You just met John Barnes. Doug Bowles, Mike Griffin, and Jim Harbaugh are the 5 owners of that Panther Racing team. By the way, their 3 cars with Lazier, Engie, and Tomas Scheckter qualified 9th, 10th, and 11th. And this car coming in on the hook was the highest qualified of the 3, with Buddy Lazier starting outside of row 3. Let's show you what happened a moment ago here in Carburetion Day. Top of your screen.
And that's coming through turn 4, and that's just exiting turn 4, and you see the car just get high there. We may even saw a little bit of bottoming. You see a spark there? Look in the middle, right there. Boom, boom. So there's something, you know, we can't tell what broke, but the car obviously bottomed out. And when the car bottoms out on the front of the car, think of the car bottoming out. That means the front's going to push up. You're going to lose traction. When it bottoms out, you're going to lose rubber on the pavement.
Buddy Lazier saying something possibly broke on the car. We'll check with him and the crew back in the garage area as they assess the damage. And Carb Day continues from Indianapolis in a moment. And we welcome you back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Carb Day activity continues. We had already had one incident moments ago up in turn 4 involving a former winner here. Buddy Lazier's car hard into the outside wall. Let's check in and find out exactly what happened. We talked to Buddy with Jamie Little.
Well, from those replays, it was difficult to tell exactly what happened. Buddy, what happened from your perspective?
Well, I was driving along, just warming up, and I went to turn into turn 4, and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, I heard a big snap, and the car just was dragging on the ground, and we hit the wall. So something broke. You know, you can see it on the telemetry where there's steering torque and then 0 torque. So just entering turn 4, something broke. We were just warming up, taking it easy. It's very disappointing, you know, first lap on Carburetion Day for something like that to happen, but nothing I did wrong, not cold tires, anything like that. Just turned in and something broke. My wife said, you know, better now than race day, and that is a good point, but it's a very disappointing way to start this day.
Well, they said that the damage now, looking at it, isn't as bad as they thought. It is repairable. Hopefully we will see you back on Sunday.
Oh yeah, you can count on that.
Can't count you out. And hey, I have a word from Roger Penske. Last night we asked him at a dinner, hey, who do you think will be a contender here? And he said, you know, I put my money on the dark horse. I think Buddy Lazier is the dark horse.
Well, that means a lot coming from him. I mean, everybody really respects him because of what he's done. So that means a lot. That's, like I say, it's a disappointing way to get started, but it's a great team, and I'm sure we'll rebound. We'll be all right.
And a lot of people are rooting for Buddy Lazier, 1996 Indianapolis 500 winner. He will be back, guys.
Last night, Roger Penske asked about, aside from your own Marlboro team Penske drivers and maybe some of the Andretti Green guys, who else is in the field that can win this thing that may surprise some people? He said, it wouldn't be a surprise to me to see Buddy Lazier in that strong Chevy from outside of row 3. So when that man says it a lot, it means a lot. Let's show you what happened to Buddy Lazier here moments ago in Carb Day.
And look at the sparks that are going to come from the track. Look in the middle of your screen. Buddy's going to come through right there. Now look at a spark. Spark, spark. Spark, spark. The car's not turning. He's heading straight to the wall. So again, something broke. The car bottomed out, and when the bottom of the car hits the track, you lose tire grip because the suspension kind of lifts up.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Danny Wheldon there in the Klein Tools machine as he comes down the lane. Currently, he leads the point series for the IRL IndyCar series and has won 3 of 4 events thus far, but didn't have a particularly good weekend on pole day.
Yeah, it was interesting when you heard Dan talk about what happened. They had been fast through the month, but they had just got a little bit off track on Carb Day. I mean, we were surprised as much as everybody about what his speed was. But, you know, he's qualified for this race. He's with Andretti Green Racing, a great team. He's leading the points. He's got a ton of confidence. And there was a lot of running done this last week, a lot of pack running, a lot of race trim running. And I saw Dan Wheldon drive through a group of 6 cars like they were standing still. So he is very happy with his race car. And you see the sparks coming from his car there in the car in front of him. Those are just titanium skid blocks. And right now the cars are full of fuel, and they still may be building a little tire pressure in those tires that will make the car rise a little bit more.
They're designed to allow the car to rub on the racetrack so you're not rubbing the tub. They protect the tub from the asphalt. as we check in down in the Dan Wheldon pits with Vince Welch.
I thought Robbie Buhl hit the nail right on the head when he talked about how well Weldon has been running in traffic. And Dan commented to me last night that he felt his car is extremely strong in traffic as you see him go by Dario Franchitti. And I asked Dan, I said, despite the qualifying blemish, how do you feel? And he says, determined. He looked me straight in the eye and he said, very, very determined.
Boy, is he ever determined, and no matter where he starts back in the pack inside of row 6, he now is the quickest car in Carb Day, 225.262, and if that's race pace for Dan Wheldon, look out. 32 other starters in this year's Indy 500. He will be hard to handle. More Carburetion Day. We'll find out what's happening with Team Penske when we come back. Next week, the NHRA Powerade Series moves on to Topeka, Kansas for the O'Reilly Summer Nationals. Catch qualifying Saturday on ESPN2 at 8 Eastern and the elimination round on ESPN2 Sunday at 8 Eastern time. Marty Reed, Mike Dunn and company, NHRA action coming your way from Topeka, Kansas. Well, the enduring symbols of Indianapolis, the pagoda, the 2.5-mile oval, and the world's greatest race course. There is no race that can compare to the Indianapolis 500, and we are in Carburetion Day, the final 1 hour of practice. If you just joined our coverage, we've already had an incident in the early laps involving Buddy Lazier in turn 4, something snapping in his car, in his Panther machine. They are going to try to repair that car. The tub was okay, but pretty heavy suspension damage.
Yeah, and talking to Buddy, he's still focused. He has great belief in that team and what they can put out there, Panther Racing. They'll get that car fixed, and it's going to be just fine, and he's going to be solid come race day.
We told you that Roger Penske obviously has been one of the open-wheel icons over the years. He has won 3 of the last 4 Indy 500s. He has won 13 Indy 500s overall. And here's his horse right now in the middle of row 1. Sam Hornish, a 2-time series champion who has never won the Indy 500. In fact, has never finished in the top 10 here. And Sam said, I'm sort of tired of hearing that. I just want to win it this year, so they'll leave me alone. But he's got a good spot. Whoa, a little brake dust there coming off as he tries to slow it down.
Yeah, and what you're trying to do is, right there, he was locking up his right front, and that was just a little tire smoke, is once you get to the pit lane, you have a barrel-to-barrel from entry to exit, and you have to maintain a pit lane speed limit there. And this is the first time these guys have really had an opportunity to come off of turn 4 at speed and get the car slowed down to that pit lane speed.
We found out last night as you watched Sam Hornish that the engines they have in the car right now, and they will run on race day, were still running on a dyno in Pennsylvania last night, and they were put in a truck and driven here to arrive at 5 a.m. this morning to be put in the race car. That's how late they worked on their race engines for the Penske team, the Toyota. So this team really putting 110% in to try to be the best they can be on race day. Let's check in down in the Hornish pits with Vince Welch.
Well, it's interesting, Doc, as you talked about Sam Hornish Jr. and how bad he wants to win this race. And that's one of the reasons that he went to Roger Penske's team from the Pennzoil Panther team. When he made the move, he talked about the significance of running for Roger Penske and the opportunity to win the Indianapolis 500, because he knows Roger is the master here at Indianapolis with more wins than any other car owner. And of course, Hornish also, you got to be lucky and good. And Hornish was lucky on the Friday before pole day when he was involved in an accident and actually did a flip before coming to rest. And Sam walked away from that incident, but if you see him walking around the garage area, you'll see him hobbling a bit. He has a sore knee, and he's been wearing a wrap on that knee. Says that he might have it x-rayed after the race, but there's no chance that he would take an x-ray before race day and maybe find out something was actually wrong with it. But in the meantime, he's just a little slower. He's not going to be winning any foot races here at the Speedway, that's for sure.
Well, let's show you that flip that occurred on Fast Friday here. It was Fast Friday, but it was also Frightening Friday for a rookie by the name of Paul Dana in turn 2. Dana, you see, here comes Hornish, left side of your screen, hits a chunk of the gearbox, lifts the front of the car, and he blows over like an unlimited hydroplane. He climbs out of the car and would be okay. And here's what happened on pole day, actually on Sunday. And what you may not know is he went out and qualified 10th. They withdrew the car. He goes back out to put it in the middle of row 1. But that's the same engine that was in the car that blew over backwards. They flew it back to Reading, Pennsylvania that night, worked on it all night, flew it back here, put it in the car by noon, and it goes out and puts the same engine in the middle of row 1. So he's had a pretty good month, other than that one little incident there on Fast Friday. But the finishes here, well, have been less than stellar. He's looking for his first top 10, and most importantly, his very first Indy 500. We are under a yellow here. Track conditions are ready to be reopened momentarily for Carb Day. We'll come back with coverage in just a moment. Sparks from beneath the pole sitter's car, the 7-Eleven machine of Tony Kanaan, reigning series champion. Just a lot of weight in the car, bouncing off the asphalt, getting ready for what's going to happen on Sunday. It's what Carb Day is all about. Not to worry, Kanaan will be quick, and he will start inside of row 1. Who's the quickest among those in practice? Well, how about this? Danica Patrick, who turned the fastest lap of the month back in practice at almost 2:30, is at 2:25.597. Weldon, Hornish, Kanaan, Scheckter the top 5. Sharp, Bourdais, Herta, Brack, and Kosuke Matsuura, the reigning Bombardier Rookie of the Year. That's the top 10 thus far in Carb Day. Kenny Brack, 9th quickest. We told you that he is in subbing for Buddy Rice, last year's winner, who will not be able to defend. The 1999 Indy 500 winner, Kenny Brack, will start in the middle of row 8, subbing for the man who wanted to be here to defend his title, but right now he's standing down with our Jamie Little.
Well, it's pretty ironic to think that the number 15 car is the fastest in the field the last 2 years. Of course, Buddy Rice was the pole sitter last year and the winner. Buddy, with all the excitement and energy surrounding the 500, where are you putting all your energy?
It's really hard to hear right now, but you know, I think with where Kenny's starting, that's going to be a little bit of a chore first part of the race, but we know the cars are good, and I think if he's in touch by the halfway point, the car's going to be really strong.
I was talking about all the energy that you must be feeling, and I know you're putting it into looking and learning outside the car. What are you learning?
Yeah, it's just a different aspect. You don't get to see this side very often, so sometimes it might help you later on down the road to know what goes on in the pit box when this is going on.
Kenny just pulled in for a pit stop. Later on in the show, we're going to show the pit stop challenge. You guys won it last year. What do you think our chances are today?
Well, we got the best pit box being up #1 right now, so that'll be a big help, and these guys should have a good shot at the pit stop challenge and try to double up like we did last year.
Good to see Buddy Rice hanging out here supporting Kenny Brack, who's filling in. Dr. Punch?
Thank you, Jamie. And by the way, the reason you heard Bobby Rahal, Sarah, the reason they aren't going to check Buddy Rice, they are not planning on doing an MRI to look at his neck until after the Indy 500. Why? Because they're afraid if it had healed significantly, Buddy might really want to jump back in a car, so they don't want him to know how well he's healing until after the Indy 500 and he jumps back in the car at Texas. There's a look at Dario Franchitti. Dario Franchitti will start outside of row 2 in the Arca X machine. Boy, is he overdue. He's had the fastest lap in the race in 2 of 4 events this year. Had the best race car, arguably the best race car on the racetrack in 3 of the 4 events, but has yet to win. Let's check in his pits with Vince Welch.
Doc, you hit the nail right on the head. That has been the theme with this race team and Dario Franchitti. They believe he could very easily be the one on Andretti Green to have 3 wins instead of their teammate Dan Wheldon. Only 6 laps have been turned so far from Dario, and there you see his fast lap at 2:21.7. Spoke with team manager Kyle Moyer just a moment ago. He said, no problem, we just want to be patient, let everybody else get out there and kind of get in the groove before we roll out. But they expect good things from Dario Franchitti on race day. He certainly believes he can win this race Sunday.
And his wife, award-winning actress Ashley Judd, is actually filming a movie in Arkansas, in Little Rock, Arkansas, but she will be back on race day. She wouldn't miss this for anything, particularly she knows that Dario will be a factor, as you said, Vince, to win this thing on Sunday. And Robbie Buhl, here's a look at the Newman Haas cars, particularly Sebastian Bourdais. And this young man is a rookie, but boy, what a talented rookie and reigning champ car champion.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from a lot of guys that have said, you know, he is the real deal. He is a very talented race driver. There's no question about that. And he's starting on the outside of row 5. Now, what these guys have done, they had a race last weekend, so they did all their race prep 2 weeks ago, and they did a bunch of race miles. And you know, Bruno's been here before. Bruno started up on the pole. I'm sure he's passed a lot of his knowledge along to Sebastian, but you know, these are 2 guys you can't count out of this race.
Sebastian Bourdais, by the way, was the pole sitter of that event in Monterrey, Mexico, and Bruno Junqueira was the winner. So both these guys will be a factor. And here's the young rookie everyone is talking about. What a sensational month of May it has been for this 23-year-old Danica Patrick. Fastest lap of the month, 229.880, run back just before pole day. And today, she has been at or near the top of the charts. In fact, she's at the top of the charts right now, 225.597 in full race configuration. What does that tell you if she's this quick here in race configuration? What's going to happen with her on race day?
Oh, look out. That's what that tells you. But you know what? I just saw on the board here, she's done about 17 laps. So I would think Danica's only probably going to be out there for 2 or 3 more laps. Obviously, the car's handling well. You know, they've done their leak check. You know, everything's good with the motor, the gearbox. So I would look for these guys to be in a couple laps. And, you know, running there by herself, she's running in the 222 range. And that's a fast pace by yourself out there.
I think there's only been 3 rookies to win this race in the last 50 years, and 2 of them, Juan Montoya and Elio Castroneves, both occurring in the last decade. As we check in down in the Danica pits with Jamie Little.
Well, you guys, I talked to Danica's father, TJ, and asked, you know, how is she doing with all this press and all this pressure on her shoulders? And he said, you know, Jamie, the one thing she's thinking about, she doesn't want to let the fans, the media, anybody down. She wants to come out and perform to not let anybody down. That's what she's concerned about. She wants to do well here, to stand up for herself and say, hey, I can back it up. I'm not just talking. I'm going to go out and walk the walk. And this girl is determined to win this race on Sunday.
Well, she is a 5'2", 100-pound bundle of confidence, the face of a prom queen, but the handshake of a steelworker. She is all business, and she will be a factor when the green flag waves on Sunday for the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500. Back in just a moment. Carb Day coverage continuing from the world's greatest race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, along with Robbie Buhl, Jamie Little, Vince Welch, and Cameron Steele. I'm Jerry Punch. Glad to have you with us as we ride along with the 2003 Series champion, the Target Ganassi driver, Scott Dixon, who will start inside of row 5. Robbie, when you're inside the cockpit of this car and looking across the cowl of the machine, do you have any idea? Does the speed look as fast as it does from us sitting up here watching?
No, it doesn't. I mean, when these guys have a race car that is handling as well as it could be, it's almost like slow motion in the cockpit. You know, when everything's perfect with the race car, it all happens real slow inside, and that's what you want.
Well, let's see what Danica Patrick was seeing on the race car. Danica quickest thus far here today at 225.597. Now watch her hands. Give us your analysis of what's going on in her cockpit.
Yeah, there she is coming down the front straightaway. Boom. Going by the F&O car there, a Jimmy Kite. Let's come back, look at her hands. Now let's watch her roll into turn 1. They're rolling into turn 1 here at 227 miles an hour. Boom. Good input all the way through the corner, and then when she's close to being out of the corner, watch her roll her right hand down straight, and maybe even a little bit down a little bit, because these cars are set up to turn left, so sometimes down the straightaway, you actually are holding the wheel to the right a little bit because the cars want to turn into the corners, roll free through the corners. That's part of the secret here. Here's turn 3, going into turn 4. That was a quick downshift. You hear that downshift? Boom. Coming off of turn 4 right now, heading back at the start-finish line. But, you know, there's very little buffeting of her helmet. She looks, you know, like she could do 1,000 miles there, doesn't she?
They have to shift 3 times a lap, and it's hard to believe that they're actually almost turning right on the straightaways to keep the car going straight.
Yeah, and, you know, but that's part, what you want to do at a racetrack like this is you want these cars to roll through the corner as free as possible. Obviously, with a race car, you know, you don't want to be too free there. You want to be the one making all the decisions to have a good balanced race car, but you also want to be free through there, and that's why you just have to turn the wall to the right a little bit. There's a downshift. There's a quick downshift going into turn 4. That's between 3 and 4. Here we're looking. You're going to see the start-finish line right coming up, and the start-finish line is right there, and starter stand right there. That was the yard of bricks.
Wow, let's take a look at Dario Franchitti's visor cam. This camera underneath his visor on his helmet as you look at what he is seeing And how in the world do you pick out a signboard or any kind of signals from pit road? Because it looks like ants when they fly by at 230 miles an hour.
Well, like I say, when things are right in the race car and you have a happy race car, things happen slow. You see that 2.4 on his wheel there? What that is a fuel number for him. That's a minimum fuel number for him. If he loses contact with his crew and he sees that on the dash, he has to come in to get some more fuel. And you can see the lights on the top of his steering wheel. Watch it. You see yellow, yellow, red. Boom. He's going to be shifting there. See the shift?
Wow.
And then your RPMs go down. So he is shifting to probably 5th gear or 6th gear on the front straight here. Now he's going through turn 1. He's third 2. And here he is coming off of 2. Now let's watch those lights on top of his wheel. Okay, there's a yellow one. Now we'll see another yellow one. Maybe come on. He needs to keep accelerating. Maybe a little bit of headwind there. We didn't see him accelerate up. Here he's coming through turn 3. You can hear the revs in the car go down. That's what I was talking about, rolling free through the corner. You don't want to pull those revs down too much. Up. Let's watch this. Boom. Get it slowed down. Get it down to pit lane speed. Boom. There, he just pushed his pit lane speed limit to keep you at the pit lane speed, 60 miles an hour. Boom, he's in that mode. You hear that with the motor. That keeps him at 60 miles an hour.
So that button he pushed with his left thumb was the pit lane speed limiter, which allowed him to stay at 60 miles an hour.
But it's up to the driver's responsibility to get it down to 60 miles an hour, and then that button will hold you there.
All right, well, how about the guy who's 5th quickest overall in this final practice, Tomas Scheckter, standing by with Vince?
Well, it's like a party we have inside the Tomas Scheckter motor coach. You know, that's the difference between guys that have a great day and guys that have a lousy day. His teammate Buddy Lazier's car ended up in the wall. You ran a measly 13 laps and brought it in, so everything went well for you. Get mission accomplished?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think today is not about setting up the car. It's really just to do an installation check. You should have done all the work before, and there was no need to push hard. But you know, I think we're somewhere in the top 5, and you know, looking forward to the race.
You've led more laps here than any other driver that's in the field, even more than the 2-time winner Helio Castroneves. But you haven't got that win yet. How close are you, do you feel in your mind, that you are to winning this race?
Well, for sure, every year is different, and you know, we just have to go into this year and I think run a good race, run a good 150 laps, and then from there we'll see where we are. But certainly by the time today and the times we've done this past 2 weeks, we think we've got a good chance.
What's the part about Sunday that concerns you the most?
I think it's just getting by the first 100 laps, you know, especially getting past the first 3 or 4 laps and make sure you don't get caught up in anybody else's incident. And, you know, I think I've got enough sense to make sure that the car stays on the road for the first 5 laps. But, you know, sometimes you're unlucky and you catch someone else's trouble.
Any concerns regarding your teammate Buddy Lazier's problems and the issues he had?
Well, I was a little bit concerned, you know, exactly what happened, and maybe, you know, if something happened on the car, they could check it on our car. But, you know, from what I can hear now, it was just maybe he was pushing a little bit too hard and trying the outside line. But, you know, I'll go speak to him. He's a great teammate. He's got a lot of experience, and, you know, I'm sure we'll figure it out somehow.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you.
Doc?
Tomas Scheckter led 148 laps his first 2 trips to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, was leading with less than 30 laps to go and had a problem in 2002, finished 4th in 03, where he led 63 more laps and came up 2 laps shy on fuel at Motegi, or he would already have won this year. He will be a factor on race day. Right now, Danica Patrick, quickest overall, Kanaan, Weldon, Hornish, and Scheckter. The young man we just talked to, driving for Chevrolet, the Bowtie Brigade. He is 5th quickest here in Carb Day practice. Back in just a moment. Final minutes of the final IndyCar Series practice here. Take a look at the top speeds. Danica Patrick, how truly appropriate. She's at the top of the speed charts, 225.597 miles per hour. Tony Kanaan, Danny Wheldon, the points leader. Sam Hornish, Scheckter, Sharp, Inge, Fernandez, Vitor Meira, and the rookie Sebastian Bourdais in the top 10. Our 3rd fastest car in practice today in this final session is Dan Wheldon. He stands by with our bench Welch.
Well, Dan Wheldon just communicating with his engineer, Eddie Jones, and also visiting with Michael Andretti and Mario Andretti poking his head in as well. Dan talking about how the car was handling during his run. Weldon, as mentioned, 3rd quickest on the chart so far at 225. Dan, what was your thoughts on the race car today?
I missed the question, but
what were your thoughts on the car today?
You know, it was it's definitely faster on its own today, so I'm happy about that. And
you know, it's the Indianapolis 500. You got what you got right now. You can't change it. So I think the car's pretty good, though. I mean, certainly the Klein Tools Jim Beam boys have worked hard on it. They've gone through it to find out exactly what the problem is. They haven't found it, but it seems a lot quicker. So I give a lot of credit to them because they worked hard through the month. I've been a pain in the butt to deal with.
I was going to say, is that a surprise?
Surprise I'm a pain in the butt, or a surprise these guys are so good?
Surprise you're a pain in the butt.
No, not really, not really. They put up with me, though, and you know, that's what makes Andretti Green Racing a strong team, because there is different personalities, and certainly one of us is very feisty, and it's been a difficult month for me, but I guess, you know, like, you can't hold that against me. I'm just desperate to try and win this race.
Good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Well, could Dan Wheldon be fighting a little bit of history? No car number 26 has ever won the Indy 500, and no driver starting in 16th position has won the Indy 500. And speaking of history, since 1911, 187 different men have led the Indy 500, but never a woman. And there are many believe that that will change in the early laps on Sunday. Let's check in that on her pits with Jamie Little.
Well, Danica Patrick is the real deal. We keep telling you guys that, and she finishes final practice heading into the 89th running of the 500 on top. Danica, what does this do for your confidence heading into Sunday?
I think it's good. I mean, I wasn't coming out here today on Carb Day to be fastest. That's not the goal at all. The goal was to have a good balance with the car, so that's what we did. We made a couple little adjustments for what we felt was necessary, and like I said, the important part is that I'm happy with the car for Sunday. This doesn't pay nearly as much as it does on Sunday.
Well, we were following your onboard for a while, and you look so comfortable in the car. Are you as comfortable as it looks?
Yeah, I think I would imagine a lot of people are pretty comfortable, especially because I did a bit of running by myself just to get a good read on what the gears were like and how the car felt, and it's pretty stuck. It's not quite like qualifying where there was all that front wheel action that I had, so no, it's much more stable.
Well, it's good to see you ran by yourself just fine, and she ran in traffic. Guys, I can't wait for Sunday to watch number 16, Danica Patrick.
No, it should be a great race on Sunday. Let's take a look at the starting grid for Sunday's 89th running. An all-championship row one, Tony Kanaan, the rating series champion, two-time champion Sam Hornish, and the 96 co-champion and former pole sitter here, Scott Sharp. Back in row two, there's Danica Patrick, fastest rookie and highest qualified woman in the 89-year history of the event. Two-time winner Elio Castroneves and Dario Franchitti. Back in row three, Vitor Meira, maybe the sleeper in the field. Last year's Rookie of the Year, Kosuke Matsuura, and Buddy Lazier, who had a problem here in the early parts of Carb Day. They'll try to fix the car and get him back in the ninth starting spot. There is Thomas Ingate, Tomas Scheckter, a couple of fast Chevys, and Bruno Junqueira. Could he be the dark horse? He was a pole sitter here 3 years ago. As you look at the remainder of our starting grid, I'm going to ask my colleague here, Robbie Buhl. Robbie, looking at these names, Adrian Fernandez comes to mind. Everyone's saying, watch out for Adrian. He is very fast and very calculating on race day.
He is. He's got the demeanor for this. And remember how, you know, he had a great year last year. That momentum's carrying over to this race here, the Indy 500. You got to look, you know, Richie Hearn. They ran really strong with that Chevy power for Sam Schmidt the first week. Kenny Brack. We know what he's done. He's won this race, and if you've won this race before, that means you know how to do it. And he's in a great car right now, replacing Buddy Rice with Team Rahal.
Okay, row 9, and take a look at row 10. A couple of Foyts back there, Larry and Anthony the fourth, with Marty Roth in the middle. And back in row 11, the former rookie of the race, Jeff Ward, Jimmy Kite, and Felipe Giafone getting in with the drama of Bump Day. As the crowds are moving in, and we are getting set for Menards Infinity Pro Series action. It is the third annual Futaba Freedom 100. The Menards Infinity Pro Cars, the official stepping stone to IndyCar Series action, coming up next here from Indy.